Hello all you epic plasma gamers, welcome to the second episode of my devlog series on Square Scramble, a multiplayer fighting game where you can't stop jumping. For those of you who didn't see the first episode, I definitely recommend it because it gives a lot of context to what this game is about and what I'm planning on doing with it, but for everyone else, let's hop in and talk about what I got done this week. So, going into this week, I knew that I wanted to change up some of the visuals because, while I like the glowy neon nature of how the game looks now, it also looks like the visuals of a Unity tutorial. It looks a bit bland and I wanted something to add a bit more spice to it and make it look more exciting. The way I went about doing this is by taking the trails from the last game, the ones that follow the player around, and tried to make them look a little bit better. At first I made this version of the trail, but I wasn't a fan of how much it looked like a worm on a string, although I do love those guys. I played around with it a lot and had some interesting results. I really liked this one that looked like ribbons attached to the sides, but I ended up implementing a system that only has the trail when the player is moving fast enough, making it seem more like it's based on speed. Then changed the colors from the player color to a very light transparent white to make it feel a lot lighter and kind of like wind. Add a couple more of them and I think it turned out pretty cool. I'll probably mess around with it a lot more, but for now I think it does the job. The next thing I wanted to do was add some background objects. Now this hasn't been a thing in any of the other games, but I feel like it could be interesting to give the background a bit more life. I decided on having different background themes for the different colors, and because each color is going to have its own special mechanic, I figured I could make the background kind of fit that theme and make it more fun. For the white maps, I decided to just have some gray cubes out in the distance, and while I know it's not super interesting, the white maps are mostly just to give the players a chance to learn the movement mechanics before you move on to the more complicated maps. The next one that I made was the red maps background. I started by putting down some cubes similar to the last one, then made this particle system as a surprise tool to help us later. Then I hopped into Blender, pretended I knew what I was doing until I had this gear. Throw it in, make it spin, position the particles, and now I have a nice unobtrusive background that fits the theme of the colors mechanic, which for red is moving platforms and objects. This turned out a lot nicer than I expected, and I'm super excited to make some more of these in the future. And to top off the visual updates that I wanted to do, I added a nice screen shake every time a player dies, just to make it feel more powerful. Then I started work on actually making some of the maps, and it was actually super fun. To start off, I made the second red map, and it looks like this. Basically just animated these platforms to move up and loop once it's off screen. Pretty easy stuff. Then I went on to make this one that just has the platform move back and forth across the screen. These red maps are going to be a lot harder to play on, which I think will make it pretty fun. I decided that while there will be an option to play the maps in order, the main mode is probably going to just cycle you through the different maps in order of the rainbow, but pick a different one each time it loops. For example, it could start on the second red map, then go to the fourth orange one, then the first yellow, and so on, so that way it feels like you're getting a good mix of the mechanics instead of just getting the funny moving platform followed by the funny moving platform followed by the fun. So anyway, after the incident, I took some time to actually go through and sketch out a bunch of the designs for levels, which I'm gonna be honest is something that I do not do nearly enough for my games. For a while, I was doing all my level designs for Color War and Little Shell's Adventure completely off the cuff and just going with whatever, but more recently I've started actually doing concept art for my games, which who knew that a part of the game production industry that has its entire own job title could be so important? But it has helped me so much. It's not only sped up the workflow of building these levels, but also made it a lot easier to actually develop them. Going into it knowing the final product makes it so much easier. You know what else is easy? Becoming an epic plasma gamer. Oh, you don't know what a plasma gamer is? Well, it's only the closest thing to a cult you can morally join. To join our group of legally unrelated people, all you gotta do is hit that subscribe button and tell that little bell fellow to tell you everything he knows, because he has information and we need it. There's just about 500 plasma gamers here on the channel, and we have a really fun video planned if we make it there, so subscribe. Anyway, that's all I really got done this week, because like I said in the last video, I am still working on Color War, so I don't have too much time to be putting into this one, but I hope you still like the devlog, and let me know any map ideas you have in the comments, because I'd love to hear them. And if you want, here's a video that YouTube thinks is the perfect fit for you, and let's be honest, YouTube probably knows more about you than you do. But that's all I have, so I'll see you later, nerds.